Hi, welcome. Thank you for tuning in today for a healthy eating habit session. And today we'll be discussing about the fasting and what are the benefits and when was the last time you did skip your one meal and what is the effect and can you do moving further, um, couple of times in a month for you to see a good results in terms of your health. Now let's say try to understand quickly. When was the last time you skipped one meal of the day? Say, anywhere, everyone, anywhere, we take about three meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And have you tried skipping one meal? Not by you got busy and then you skipped a meal and then you had it. Intentionally skipping one meal, be it in a breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And you know, what do you feel after skipping it? You feel hungry. Why? Because skipping a meal is not an easy task. It's really not an easy task. And in case, even if you by default, if you manage to say you're busy and then if you, skip a breakfast, by the time you reach to 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you're going to feel so hungry so much that, you cannot bear it anymore. Now, is it possible to go skipping two meals? Is it possible to skip 24 hours fasting, do a 24 fasting, or say perhaps to go to 48 hours to 72 hours? And there are people who does 72 hours fasting. Is it easy? Not, definitely not easy. But can that be done? Yes, absolutely. But if you follow the proper process on what basically providing what your body needs, and you can easily do that. One of the main reasons that we cannot skip a meal and then cannot stay without staying hungry, and in our daily lives that we take, there are two important factors that we always consume. Obviously, you guessed it right. One is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, and second, and then most important, I would say, um, we are addicted to it more than a drugs, because even drugs can harm you once, but there is something that we consume that is worse than a drug, and obviously you guess it, it's sugar. So when you control these two, less carbohydrates, pretty much no sugar, but if it is not possible, at least moderate sugar levels. When you cut down and when you bring that down, it's easy to go on a fasting. But in case if that's where this intermittent fasting comes into, and the low carb diets, and there are many things that you see and the social media. But the main idea or main thing that you cannot skip a meal is that we take a lot of carbohydrates, be it in your bread, pasta, a lot of rice, so on and so forth. So that can, even though if you finish for a couple of hours or 3 hours, 4 hours, you immediately feel a lot of hunger, a lot of things that you want to eat. And moreover, we consume a lot of snacks, which is not without sugar. Obviously, with the sugars, anything in each and everything what we consume is not only, I'm talking about taking a sugar to a coffee, a tea, or whatever, but there are a lot of things that we take sugar without we knowing it. Not getting into the sweets part of it, because the most important and then most deadly addiction, worse than a drug, is your sugar intake and your carbohydrates. You can do it moderately, but if you uh, control these two, you can see a lot of benefits. And then if you increase that to a, while to doing a fasting between 1 time to 2 times a day, or once in a week, in a monthly, if you can do 2-3 times fasting, then fasting can heal a lot of things in your body. And that's what I mean. I'll come to the last point and why each and different religions does differently. So that's one thing to understand. So understanding your meal, Is it possible that you can do the fasting? Yes, it absolutely. But what is the main reason you can't stay without hungry is enough taking of carbohydrates, and the sugar is a main killer. Now, I answered you already. It is possible. There are many people does the fasting, 12 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, and 72 hours, and sometimes even more. But that's under the the supervision with the hospitals, etc. If someone really wanted to see the wonderful benefits. Now, talking about that, now it was very difficult for me to do 12 hours fasting. First of all, I was used to it. I used to eat a lot of rice. I reduced rice in recent times, but I take a healthy in terms of what my body needs. I can do that, and that's what I focus on, eating what is healthy. And that, when I say the last time, informative videos which will help you to take those calls. Now, it was very difficult. I never did. First time in last 3 months is where I did first time 24 hours fasting. And as we speak, I stretched myself for the 48 hours just by drinking water and a lot of fluids, of course. But then I did 48 hours fasting. In 41 years, this is the first time I went 2 days without the food. Is it easy? Not really. But can it be done? Absolutely yes. And what it does to your health, only you need to experience and what you want to experience. But 48 hours, I did it, it is possible. 24 hours, I did it, is possible. 12 hours is piece of cake for me as we speak. But 72 hours, I never went till, but maybe in coming months' times, or maybe probably in a couple of years, I would definitely give it a try to see and understand how I feel. Now, what are the different beliefs of saying about fasting? Now, I'm sure everybody heard about Ramadan, where they do almost 1 month fasting, but they do a dry fasting, sunrise to sunset, and sometimes people go a little bit further based on their beliefs. Now, this is all reset mechanism for your body for the whole month, the whole year, I mean to say. So these are all the reset mechanisms, at some point in time people started for you to feel better. Now, I'll come back to the point. Now, when you talk about any Hindu religions or Hindu related thing, there's something called Ekadasi. I'm sure some of you know. So every 15 days, Ekadasi comes in a month, twice. So again, is a belief that if you do sunrise to the next sunrise, if you do a fasting, there is a lot of benefits, in terms of spirituality, you grow, so on and so forth. But more than that, your health gets into a different shape altogether if you go through 24 hours without food. But is it possible? Can it be done? And early on, this is a myth I had, that how do people can do? Then okay, these guys cannot do it. Let's do it a grain fasting or water fasting and so on and so forth. But there is a way. I mean, you can do 24 hours fasting without eating anything, just by water. So it's possible. So every Ekadasi is, starting sunrise to the next sunrise. So that gives you 24 hours of reset. So imagine 24 hours a day, 24 hours fasting twice a month into 1 year. So you're pretty much doing 24 days or 25 days in a year, 24 hours fasting, which is again resetting your body to do the better, to its optimum level in terms of many things. What happens inside, we don't know. So you see, religion itself, suggests these ones, but fasting is most important, fascinating thing that I want you to try. To start off, and you can start. How you can do it. It's very easy if you follow the simple steps, which I will be leaving a link, and then I will take to the next video, and I will be talking about that in the next video, and the reference material which can do good for yourself and for you to see yourself moving further. Now, there is one important thing that I would like to mention about fasting. Now, all of us go to a temple, based on your beliefs and religion, pretty much either church, you go to a mosque, you go to a temple in a different places of It doesn't matter. I mean, if you have a religion beliefs and you go to the temple and pray for yourself and pray for the family around you and pray for your family for you to do better, and most likely spirituality. I would say that your temple is within you. Now, how you take care of your temple determines how you feel outside the world and how you give yourself, your energy to the others. So you need to keep your body is your own temple. So I'm not saying that you should not go for temples, but then first of all, try to organize your own temple with the clean habits. When I say clean habits, I'm not saying that you're not taking your shower and putting a deodorant or you're using a perfumes. I'm talking about your internal body organs, keeping each and everything, and then giving enough rest for your tummy, because this engine is working for a long time, for over a period of time, and every day, 24 hours, 365 days, and depends on how many years you're going to survive. So they're working hard, So give yourself a little bit break, and then let them reset itself by its own thing. And there are many things more than a good with the temptation. We do a lot of harm to our bodies. That I will take in a different video. Think about the liver and work of the liver and try to understand how are we harming our liver just by taking all toxic foods, be it in a sugar. All you need to do is just Google it and see it. And it gives you a number of things how liver can affect, or sugar, or fatty foods, or alcohol, too much of salt, and so on and so forth. So whatever we take, the poor liver is taking the entire stress, and then it is, thank God, it has its own power to heal itself. Obviously, you cannot overdose of, say, alcohol and say heal by itself. It's not going. It can do certain level to a certain limit. But then again, if we don't come to our awareness and what are the things that can harm my body, and then can I moderate it or can I reduce it, or perhaps just forget about it. If I know that taking alcohol can harm my body, smoking can harm my body within my temple, and I'm making my temple dirty because of some internal feelings I need to have, I would say I wouldn't need that. I would think forward and say, 60 or 70 or 80 years from now, or 80 years of anyone's age, the gut doctor is saying, hey, you're eating too much sugar, I want you to cut it down. That time, it's probably too late for you to cut down the sugar. You don't need to cut down the sugar right now, but then you can moderately do it so that you enjoy what you're doing, yet at the same time you can, stay healthy. Same thing with an alcohol. Moderate is okay, but then every day if you're taking any kind of an alcohol, and then times that your liver cells die just because of whatever the alcohol it hits, and it takes time for it to recuperate, like 2 days, 3 days. But then every day you're pumping entire alcohol, it seems like a little bit poison you're taking for yourself, for you feel better, but at the same time you're hurting your internal organs for whatever the reasons. So whatever the intakes, there are, many people think that sugar is not a drug. Sugar is the biggest drug many people are going through as we speak. The studies says that by 2045, 650 million people, 650 million, that's a half a billion plus of the entire population, either would be dying through the diabetes with the sugar, or would be affecting their health or taking medications due to the sugar related diseases. So that tells it all, our food habits, our whatever we do, overall it will impact. Just to give you an idea, so before 4000 BC, actually the sugar was invented back in India. Before 4000 BC, that's where the root started, from the Bengal. And before that, nobody was using sugar. It started from the sugar cane. Obviously, the inventions came to it. But then sugar became so much prominent in our lives as we speak. Without sugar, we cannot move on. certain portions, the same like, the carbohydrates, the doctors say, 20 grams is what you need for your body on a daily basis. But how much carbohydrates do we take is something that you should ask yourself. So, it gives you entire thing, what you take, what you intake makes a lot of difference, the how or how you're pumping your body and your internal temple, and then this is your temple, and then I want to keep it clean and I want to keep it healthy. And if I had to stop something to do, I would not hesitate to do it. If instead of thinking that 60 years or 70 years down the line I had to do cut down certain things, maybe my temptation will not stop at that time and then I continue to do so. This is what happens for smoking, this is what happening for alcohol, this is what will happen to a sugar too. So why don't you intake and then try to understand, keep your body simple, keep your temple clean, nice and tidy, and then enjoy what you're doing, but at a moderate level. With that note, I would like to leave you today. So to sum up, fasting is one of the most important things your body can heal time to time. Religions, the different religions does say the fasting is the key. So is it possible that you can do 12-hour fasting? Absolutely yes, when you reduce your carbohydrates or sugar intake. And then of course, I'll be coming with the coming videos with the reference materials, what you can do and then how it can help you to do better and what you do in terms of your health. Stay blessed, stay tuned, and be healthy most of the time. Take care of your temple. Thank you.